following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with part 2 of my review of the Transformers Legacy Stunticons / Menasor, and today we're going to be taking a look at them in all of their modes out of the boxes. So I've taken them out, and here they all are. I have them transformed in the modes that they first come packaged in. So we've got the 4 deluxe Stunticons of Breakdown, Wildrider, Dead End, and Drag Strip in their robot modes, and then hanging out here in the back we have Motormaster in his alt mode, and taking him. When I took him out of the box, I was amazed at how much cardboard padding was used to get Motormaster to fit into the same size box that past Commander class size Transformers fit in. So Motormaster really could have been sold and marketed as a leader class Transformer and armor. So just like other Transformers action figures where they feel like they're in a size class higher than what they should have been, that's definitely the case here with Motormaster. But out of the box, some of them have tight joints, some of them have loose joints, so hopefully the joints will fall in place over time. Out of all 5 of them, the one I have the biggest gripe with so far is Motormaster, because one side of him was warped and I had to bend the transformation joint back into place because it made the side of his vehicle mode not line up properly, and it's still not quite doing it. So I don't know if that's because this is technically a first released version of Motormaster or not. I honestly have no idea, but I am enjoying right now, before it starts to happen, that he has his trailer is entirely silvery gray. I've seen multiple videos where at least half the parts on Motormaster's trailer have yellowed and turned a dull brown. That's true for about a third of the Transformers action figures that were released in the War for Cybertron trilogy and the trilogy lines and the Generation Selects lines, and some of the Studio Series 86 and Legacy figures. So hopefully it won't happen with my copy of Motormaster just yet. But yes, focusing on all of them here, we've got here's a close-up of Dragstrip in his robot mode. And to my knowledge, the Stunticons pretty much have all the standard basic articulations, so I apologize for not going that in full detail, but yeah, pretty much average-sized articulation with the Stunticons. And then, of course, here's Wildrider and Breakdown. Breakdown is a heavy retool of Wildrider, so if you want to distinguish them from each other to fully transform them, what you're supposed to do with Breakdown and Wildrider is spread out the backpack, which is formed by the entire hood of the car that they both transform into, but it doesn't really do much anywhere. All it really does is create a pair of non-functioning wings for them. So I prefer the leaving them the backpacks untransformed. And out of the box, it's difficult to get them all lined up properly. So because they're retools of each other, I've seen a handful of Transformers fans and collectors say that with a bit of imagination, you could imagine Wildrider and Breakdown being the 2 Decepticon battle chargers of Runabout and Runamuck. Yeah, that's a pretty nice thing there. But yeah, here are all 4 of the deluxe Stunticons lined up in their robot mode. The head joints are on swivels, so they can spin left and right 360 degrees. Arms can go forward and backwards. Wildrider and Breakdowns are hindered by their backpacks even when you transform them correctly. Arms can go out to the side. They all have bicep swivels, and they all have hinged elbows. Waist joints, universal joints in the hips. So you can get a good range of leg movement on drag strip here. Same thing with Dead End. Good range of movement with his leg joints and the waist swivels. The waist swivels on Dead End and Drag Strip are really loose, and that's because of the gimmick where they actually split in half at the waist when they transform into Menasor's arms. There are waist swivels on Wildrider and Breakdown as well, but they aren't as loose since they don't have to separate. The leg joints on Wildrider are really tight out of the box at the hip. They're same thing with Breakdown. So you can move the legs out to the split, but the swivel joint, for some reason, it wants to lock in place here. I don't know if that's just a tolerance issue that'll loosen up over time. And then, of course, you got knee joints and ankle tilt built on all 4 of them. As far as the deluxe class Stunticons go, my only main gripe between all 4 of them, other than Breakdown being a retool of Wildrider, not his own mold, is that I kind of feel like Dead End's feet are a little too small. I mean, I know they at least sculpted the toes there on his feet, but for some reason, I don't know, it's just doesn't feel like he has as feet like unlike his other fellow Stunticons do. But as far as the deluxe Stunticons go, as far as which ones are my personal favorites, from most favorite to least favorite, I've always been biased towards Wildrider since he's charcoal gray. He's not jet black like Motormaster is, but if I had to pick a favorite out of all 4 Stunticons, it will be Wildrider due to him having the best paint job out of all 4 of them. And as far as the legacy ones go, here after Wildrider, as far as the deluxe ones go, I have to be honest, I'd have to go with Dragstrip being my second favorite, Dead End being my third favorite, and Breakdown being my 4th favorite of them. Overall, so far as all ranking all 5 of them together, I don't know where to place Motormaster amongst them because, again, he is a commander class figure, but he also does come packaged transformed into his vehicle mode of a semi truck. And right out of the box, the trailer hitch fits really securely on Motormaster, so much so that I actually had to try and gently force it down in there so it could stick in place. So now that I've said that it's stuck in place, of course on camera Motormaster's gonna fall out of it now that it's been attached to him. But yeah, he does have a good range of swiveling here, so if you want to use your imagination and have Motormaster actually rolling around on the streets causing havoc, you can do that if you want. He does roll fairly well, although like most collectors I've seen already, my main gripe is that the back wheels on the trailer, they don't really have anything to hold them in place that well, and they do want to. One of them on my copy is already warped inward, and this is fresh out of the box, so I actually got my copy of Motormaster off of eBay. Hey, so even if the parts of him that aren't lining up properly, if I noticed it right out of the box, I probably wouldn't have been able to send it back. But for what it does, as being accurate to Motormaster's Generation 1 action figure and his appearance in the G1 cartoon, it does do a good job of that. But I have to be honest, Motormaster, right out of the box, he is definitely not one of my favorite semi-trucks to come out in recent years. I enjoy Legacy Nova Prime, who I reviewed a couple weeks ago on my channel. I get more enjoyment with Nova Prime as a semi-truck than I do with Motormaster out of the box, so hopefully in time I'll warm up to Motormaster, but for now, as far as his vehicle mode goes, because there's panel sections that aren't lining up properly, fresh out of the box, if I had to give him ranking, I'd say he's a mediocre, to be fair. But yeah, that's pretty much all there's to say about Motormaster's vehicle mode. One thing that a lot of collectors have complained about is that Menasor's chest is blatantly sitting right here, making up the front section of the trailer, so it doesn't really help Motormaster be a robot in disguise, but considering how his Generation 1 action figure was a brick with moving hands and hands and 2 stubs for feet, the Legacy figure definitely is an upgrade to that original Generation 1 Motormaster figure. So without further delay, let's get these guys reverse transformed until we will take a look at their opposite modes. We'll do the deluxe Stunticons in vehicle mode and Motormaster in robot mode. Alright, and so here are all 4 of the deluxe class Stunticons transformed into their alt modes, and look at them standing next to each other side by side. Even though they transform into different vehicles and have different colors, they are somewhat of a coherent team of Decepticons. I don't know how rare a sight this is, but I did manage to get all of Dead End's back panels lined up properly. The main problem that collectors have been having with Dead End is that there's only 2 connection panels. There's one right here behind the back bumper section, and there's one there on the inside. And those connection panels that hold the two back halves of Dead End's vehicle mode, they're very weak, and when you do get them to line up properly, this is one reason why a lot of people had trouble with Dead End's back panels lining up properly. When it lines up properly, the heel spurs from Dead End's rollout mode feet, they don't sit flush with the rest of his vehicle mode, so there is an indentation on those exhaust vents for his engine, if that's what that's supposed to be. But you get the idea. So yeah, Dead End, he rolls fairly okay. The main problem is that the way his wheels swivel around, and they do feel like they want to collapse back up into him. So over time, I can see Dead End's front wheels wanting to grind into place and being worn out from being used so much. Drag strip rolls a fairly decent amount, but even on a flat surface like this wooden tray that I have him on, there, I don't know how well you can see that, but there's literally only a hairline of clearance space between drag strip's 6 wheels and the bottom of his vehicle mode, so um, it's only a completely solid flat surface that drag strip is going to be able to roll around successfully while in. Out of all 4 of the Legacy Stunticon, Deluxe class Stunticons, Wildrider and Breakdown are the ones that roll around the easiest, and that's because they have the most clearance space underneath them. Just like drag strip, Dead End's clearance space isn't that much. I mean, granted, the robot mode feet are somewhat close to the back wheels on both Wildrider and Breakdown, but it's definitely a better. They definitely have better chances of rolling around better than drag strip and Dead End do. Out of all 4 of them, Breakdown's the one who's the oddball of the 4 of them because he doesn't have 2 sets of laser guns sticking out of the back of him, and that's because Hasbro and Takara Tomy decided to. Sorry for my camera wanting to blur the image if I put my fingers in front. They decided to make the racing spoiler for Breakdown's vehicle mode one of his weapons, and when you basically attach it to Breakdown's laser gun, and it basically turns into like a axe weapon. I don't know why they did that. I would have preferred if he didn't have that. I would have preferred if the spoiler split in 2 and stayed permanently attached to him, and you had the same large cannon that Generation 1 Breakdown came with. And with Breakdown is the only one of the Stunticons who does have weapon storage space. Technically, the part that Breakdown uses Breakdown uses to store his laser gun, Wildrider has it also, but Wildrider doesn't come with the same laser gun that was given to Breakdown. But you do have the potential to do that if you want. But yeah, out of all 4 of the Stunticons, Breakdown's the only one whose laser gun doesn't end up on his roof, so he is, out of all 4 of the Deluxe class Stunticons, Breakdown is the one who successfully achieves being a robot in disguise, since the other Stunticons, the only weapon storage for each of their dual laser guns is to have them just plugging on top of the roof of their vehicle modes. I'd say out of all 4 of them, Drag Strips is the one that's the most inconspicuous. I mean, granted, Formula 1 race cars don't have laser guns mounted on top of them, but he just still looks more streamlined compared to Wildrider and Dead End with their laser guns sticking out of the back sections of their vehicle modes. But yeah, these are all 4 of the Legacy Stunticons. It's transformed into their alt modes. I guess technically we could try and start to get them transformed into their combined mode. Someone who was reviewing Breakdown said that when he first tried to transform Breakdown's hood, warning for anyone who gets Legacy Breakdown. I saw another reviewer on YouTube where when he tried to transform Breakdown's hood, this clear tab right here broke right off and snapped off when he tried to get the hood, the windshield, I keep calling it a hood, the windshield piece unplugged from the hood, which unfortunately you do have to do that to get Breakdown transformed into his combined mode of one of Menasor's legs. It's the same thing with Wildrider, so just be extremely careful. I recommend, if you can, grabbing the hood and angling it down slightly so you can be free to get the windshield out of the way. To start transforming Wildrider into his combined mode without feeling like you're going to break anything. But yeah, to get Breakdown and Wildrider transformed into Menasor's legs, you do have to move Wildrider's laser guns around. But yeah, you pretty much just rotate up the windshield and then flip back the hood, and there are drag strip and egg strip and just said drag strip, Breakdown and Wildrider transformed into Menasor's legs. So there they are in their combined mode. And then for Dead End and Drag Strip, this is one of the reasons why a lot of Transformers fans and collectors have griped about Legacy Menasor not being a true combiner, and I already mentioned this in part 1 when we looked at the Stunticons in their boxes. You only really need Motormaster if you want to have Menasor out. So to get Drag Strip and Wildrider into their combined mode, there's little rectangular shaped buttons right in here, and you don't even have to have a Motormaster to do it. You can just insert something in there and it'll loosen it up enough. So take that out. Now to rotate the laser guns around for storage. Origin, yeah. There, that is Drag Strip in his combined mode. You split him in half, and then this part of Drag Strip becomes the shoulder, and then this part becomes the lower arm for Menasor. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the combined mode for Drag Strip. Same thing is true with Dead End. His rectangular button that activates his gimmick is right here. So getting this, I'm using a pair of toenail clippers to insert that in there. Probably have to loosen the clips up a little bit. And then just stick something in there to loosen it up. And yep, sure enough. And it is a spring activated button. I don't know how you can see it there with Dead End. Here on Dead End, there it is on Drag Strip. You can see the spring inside there. And when you hit that rectangular button on the bottom, it I don't know how you can see it in there, but it causes the clip holding the back half of the vehicle mode in place to separate. So yeah, that is how you get Dead End and Drag Strip into their combined mode. You just split their vehicle modes in half, and that's it really. And this little connection peg that keeps the two halves of their bodies together, whatever you do, make sure you do not break these, because these are their waists. So that keep them in half. So if these pieces snap off, your copy of Legacy Dead End and Drag Strip are going to be broken in half. And unfortunately, they are not the same size and shape as each other, these connection pegs. So if you break Drag Strip, and then when you visit, and when you find Egg Strip, and I'm getting their names all mixed up because I'm trying to get the review going, but if you basically break one of these figures, you do have to buy an exact same copy of that figure. You can't buy a copy of Dead End to replace a copy of Drag Strip. On that note, even the connection pegs, they are technically the same size, but as you can see, yeah, you can't really mix and match Dead End and Drag Strip's backsides with each other. It doesn't even line up properly, so. But yeah, that's Dead End and Drag Strip in their combined mode. And next up, we will take a look at the leader of the Stunticons. We started off in his alt mode because that's how he was packaged, but here is Motormaster transformed into his robot mode. And one thing I like that they did as a callback to Motormaster's Generation 1 vehicle, if you look right here on his feet, it's sculpted to look like the entire tractor cab section of his alt mode becomes his feet, and that's how the original Generation 1 Motormaster figure transformed. The entire semi-truck transformed into Motormaster's robot mode, and that's because the deluxe Stunticons fully transformed into the arms and legs for Generation 1 Menasor. All you had to do after you combine them together was attach the combiner head, hands, and feet, and you were done transforming the Stunticons into Menasor. So it has run to Tommy did for the Legacy figure. I already touched on this in part 1, but repeating myself in part 2, I'm emphasizing this for anyone who buys the Legacy Stunticons, because this is what you're going to get. It's now, instead of the entire semi-truck, it's just the tractor cab that transforms into Motormaster's robot mode. The trailer transforms into Menasor. Now, or you do need the Motormaster figure to transform Orm into into Menasor's torso, but you get the idea. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, with the Legacy Stunticons, you don't need the 4 deluxes. You can just buy Motormaster, and you can have a fully transforming Menasor figure if you don't mind. Menasor looking like he has skeletal arms and legs. Hey, so that in of itself, I personally find a little freaky. But yeah, that's a nice callback with the feet, with Motormaster's feet looking like it's just the tractor cab that's transformed into his robot mode, and then the rest of his robot mode is his trailer. So nice callback to that, and I believe it does match up his animation model from the G1 cartoon that was designed by Sunbow Productions. And then you can take this sword. Technically, it's supposed to be Menasor's sword, but you can give it to Motormaster if you desire. And then before we actually combine all the Stunticons together, all of the parts from Motormaster's trailer, in addition to Motormaster's Menasor himself. Now, if the parts of Motormaster's trailer, and this part just fell off, hopefully I can get it clip back on. It doesn't want me to do it on camera. I'm going to pause the video for a moment. Alright, and so the rest of Menasor's body parts transforms into a gun platform that Motormaster can wield. I mentioned in part 1 of the review that on the original Generation 1 Menasor just said Menasor. I'm sorry I keep getting the Stunticons' names mixed up, but on Motormaster, his Generation 1 figure had a gimmick where he transformed into a gun platform that could combine with Generation 1 Trypticon. And this battle platform is very loosely a callback to that gimmick. So yeah, this is one thing that Generation 1 Motormaster didn't have, was his own gun platform. So one cool thing the way it's designed is if you can get him to stand up on the back, you can put both his hands in both of the 5mm ports if he's not holding the sword, and he can actually mount the gun platform. So that's a really nice gimmick here. As you can see, it's so wide, it's wider than my tray table, so it's not standing up properly fully on the flat surface, but it is a very nice and very imposing looking battle station. You technically don't need to have the Menasor's legs here on the side. That's just to give added armor and firepower, but it is nice. But it is a pretty fantastic looking gun platform. So without further delay, let's get this thing transformed into Menasor and wrap up the review.